Hello, everyone. I'm back. It's Tuesday, 8 p.m., so it's time to read another Choose Your Own Adventure. Last week I had some issues getting started because the computer needed to update, and it ended abruptly because my phone ran out of power. But this time I've made sure that the phone will stay charged, and the computer laptop is completely updated, so there shouldn't be any issues there. I just use the laptop to check any comments and things like that. All right, so I'll get started. So this is the Choose Your Own Adventure number 15, House of Danger, written by R.A. Montgomery and illustrated by Ralph Reese. This one looks pretty wild, judging by the cover art. Yeah, it looks pretty weird. Looks like there's some kind of furry creatures involved and some kind of soldier. And let's see. So this was published in 1982. I'll just read the back cover, like I usually do, as an intro. All right. The House of Danger is your biggest case, and it might be your last. You are a detective and psychic investigator. One day in your office/lab, you receive a phone call. Help! I need your help. You quickly trace the call to a big, strange-looking house. The front door is opened by a mysterious woman who vanishes before your eyes. You soon discover that each room in the house contains a deadly mystery. There is danger at every turn. Can you think fast enough to survive? And so on. And there's the art there on the back. Office/lab. Yeah, I mean, it's either an office or a lab. I don't see how it could be both. Like, you might have an office connected to your lab, but they really should be separated. You don't want your office and your lab all mixed together. No, I think we're still a kid in this one. I mean, well, maybe a teenager. We're always a kid. Warning, do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures as you investigate the House of Danger. From time to time, as you read along, you will be asked to make a choice. Your choice may lead to success or disaster. The adventures you take are a result of your choice. You are responsible because you choose. After you make your choice, follow the instructions to see what happens to you next. Think carefully before you make a move. One mistake could be your last, or it might lead you out of the House of Danger. No, I don't. This is not Encyclopedia Brown. Oh, and there's the old style telephones there, which were not old style at the time. All right. It is a Tuesday afternoon in late June. You are on your way down to your lab in your parents' basement when the phone rings. You dash into the lab and pick it up. I need, says a weak voice. You hear a loud click and the phone goes dead. Drat! You weren't ready for that. You, the aspiring detective and psychic investigator, caught off guard. You slump down into your chair. That voice really sounded desperate. You look around you. The heat of the day has not penetrated your combination office and research laboratory, where you sit surrounded by the tools of your trade. Infrared activated floodlights, high-speed movie cameras, and night scopes among them. Two large bookcases stretch from floor to ceiling, crammed with titles that would drive the timid from the room. Murder and Fun, Ghosts and Ghouls, and Corpses I Have Known, to name a few. The phone rings again, and this time you are ready. You pick up the receiver before the first ring dies out. At the same time, you switch on your tape recorder and your electronic phone tracer. You note the time, 2:42. Hello, you say? Help! I need your help. And there's your office/research laboratory. You got your citation of merit, And that's supposed to be you, I guess. And there's a magnifying glass there, because you have to have a magnifying glass when you're a researcher slash detective. All right. Oops. Did I go to the right page? No, I did not. Turn to page 6. Is he a Vulcan? I mean, his ears do look a little funny. Oh, with the haircut? Well, everyone had a haircut like that back then. Turn to page 6. Okay. Who are you? You ask. What is your name? I'm scared, the voice says. They're after me. Get hold of yourself, you say. I can help you if you give me your name and address. They've got me. They've got me. Click. The phone goes dead again. This time, however, you are prepared. In the few seconds that you have been talking, your telephone tracing device, which operates in milliseconds, has already found the number of the other phone as well as the name and address of its owner. I'm sorry about the background noise. That's our heater going on. Should only run for a little while. Oh yeah, there was a skull there too. Yeah, there was all sorts of weird things there that I guess you need when you're a researcher. You need to have that in your research lab. A skull. That looks like a grenade with the pin in, maybe. Stuffed bird. And some other things that I'm not sure what they are. Yeah. All right. So you have the. So you've already found the number of the other phone as well as the name and address of its owner. 483-7259, Henry Marsden, 1100 Hedgebrook. Go to the next page. You copied this information down in your notebook. Something about this call is nagging at the back of your mind. Is it that this call reminds you of your spider ghost case? It too started with a mysterious phone call. Even though you were quite young, you solved that case single-handedly. The citation you received from the FBI now hangs, neatly framed, on your office wall. And the generous reward you received from the Ridgway family when you saved them from certain death has financed your specialized detection equipment. One thing you learned from that case is that working by yourself can be a risky business. Ricardo and Lisa, two of your friends in the neighborhood, have been wanting to help you on a case. Well, this is their chance. When you call them, however, they are not home. You leave a message for them to call you back as soon as possible. You're eager to begin work on the case as soon as possible, but you know it might be dangerous to start off alone. If you decide you should go immediately to the address obtained by the phone tracing machine, turn to page 4. If you decide to give Ricardo and Lisa a chance to call back, turn to page 14. Yeah, I think we should wait for Ricardo and Lisa to call back, It's always better to investigate things as a team, right? Instead of just going out on your own and doing it. Yeah, it's possible. Maybe, I mean, I don't think this book would go in those directions, or maybe it would. They're just two friends. Just two friends in the neighborhood that, hang out together all the time. Just really good friends. Yeah, I think we should wait at least a little bit. I'm not going off on my own. Maybe they'll call back eventually, Alright. Page 14. You decide to wait. You want Ricardo and Lisa in on this case. And you want to do some thinking before you rush off. Henry Marsden, you think to yourself. The name keeps going round and round in your brain. You've heard it or read it somewhere, but you can't quite place it. You are an avid history buff, though you are not as strong on names and dates as you are on what actually happened. You sit back in your chair with your eyes closed, your knuckles against your forehead, in intense concentration. And that was like why when I studied, when I took history classes in high school and history class I took in college, memorizing the names and the dates, that is the most difficult part, but I mean, it's kind of important. If you know what happened, but you don't know the names and dates, then it's kind of like, it's a whole package, basically. Anyways, the thought that it's something to do with the Civil War crosses your mind. Well, it's worth a try. There might be something in the history of Notwin County. Now, where did you put that book? It's somewhere in your basic research library. Finally, you find it. A thick, gray volume sandwiched between Gray's Anatomy and Blackwell's Poison Plants and Herbs. The book was published by the Notwin Historical Society some 20 years ago, though you just bought it the week before for 25 cents at a neighborhood lawn sale. You pull the book from the shelf and run your finger down the index of famous names in the county. There it is. Turn to page 25. Marsden, Henry, page 93. Your heart beats a bit faster as you flip to the right page. The book gives a short biography. Henry Marsden, born in 1839, died 1887. Served in the Union Army during the Civil War. Severely wounded at the Battle of Shiloh in 1862. Appointed warden of Hedgebrook County Prison in 1880. This prison was notorious in its day for its wretched conditions and the harsh treatment of its prisoners. Contemporary accounts say that it is likely that Henry Marsden was killed in the fire that accompanied the prison riot of 1887. His remains were never recovered. Local legend states that he was murdered by the rioting inmates of the prison, and that his ghost haunts the ruins of the prison to this day. Yeah, sounds like a great guy, just the kind of guy that we want to investigate. Go on to page 26. You are so engrossed in reading this account that a rap on the window makes you jump. It is Ricardo and Lisa. You let them in and give them a quick rundown of the case so far. They both read the account in the history book. They both read the account in the history book and your notes and listen to your tape of the phone call. This is really strange, says Ricardo. How's that? asks Lisa. The name of the warden and this guy who called are the same. Anyone can see that, says Lisa. Okay. Now want to guess where that prison was, says Ricardo. I know, because my dad and I were driving by there one day and he pointed it out to me. You're on, says Lisa. Out on Hedgebrook Road on the north side. That means, says Lisa, that, right you say, that either Henry Marsden is still alive or we've got a ghost on our hands. Obviously, it's either a ghost or Henry Marsden is somehow still alive. He's only like 150 years old now. Whichever one it is, we're on to one heck of a mystery. What should we do next? Because, it's impossible that someone would have, the same name, right? That couldn't happen. Oh, how does he have the phone number? Because, he did a phone trace, and apparently only 10 seconds that he was on the line with someone. It's pretty good phone tracing equipment. Yeah, Ricardo, I can see he's going to be, he's going to be trying to explain everything to everybody, especially to Lisa. So here's the art. So our character's all the way over on the right, and in the middle is Lisa, and then there's Ricardo on the left. Right. If you decide to go to the site of the old prison, turn to page 17. If you decide to go to the police with your story, turn to page 89. I'm pretty sure what choice you're making at this point, but as usual, I'm just going to wait to see if anybody has any opinions one way or another as to what our next choice should be. And I actually don't know if anyone is watching this. Well, I know Valerie's watching this. So I think in the future I'll try to give more of an advance notice when I'm going to be reading. Yeah, why bring the cops into it now? I don't know. I don't think the cops are. What are we going to say? Yeah, we think we might have got a call from a ghost. Yeah, that's going to help. All right, so we're just going to go to page 17. And we got our friends with us, so, we didn't go there all by ourselves. 30 minutes later, the three of you arrive at the site where the old prison once stood. You find that this location is now occupied by a large, very modern house built, on the outside, almost entirely of reflecting glass. The front gate, by contrast, seems to be left over from the last century. A path leads from the gate across a wide lawn to the house. You drive by slowly, then park down the road. Walking back, you cross the lawn and double-check the number on the door. 1100 Hedge Brook. This is it, all right. And when they talk about the last century, they're obviously talking about the 1800s, since this book was published in the last century, so it was talking about the century before that one, obviously. Who wants to knock, you ask. There is no answer from Ricardo or Lisa. I'll do it, you say. You give a firm, loud knock. The only response is a hollow echo. Are you sure the telephone call came from this place? Asks Lisa. Of course I'm sure, you reply. I know that. The heavy front door of the house starts to swing slowly open. Hello, you call? No answer. You peer inside. Mr. Marston? Hello? You call again into the gloom of the house. When your eyes adjust to the dimmer light inside, you can see from the door that the house is ornately furnished. Rich red, blue, and yellow carpets cover the floors. Chinese screens, flanked by tall bamboo plants, are placed against the walls of the entrance hallway. What appear to be ancient temple carvings fill the walls and alcoves adjoining the hallway. The place looks more like a museum than a house. As you watch, a small concealed door opens in the side of the hallway. It had been completely hidden by the intricate patterns of inlaid wood. Oh boy. Out of the door comes a tall, slender woman with an oriental cast to her features. And when was this book written? 1982. Okay, so a lot has changed since then. I don't think if it was someone of Asian heritage that they would be using those words. So, all right. High cheekbones and narrow, partially slanted eyes. Her skin is the color of ivory. She is dressed in a long, black, tight-fitting dress. Won't you three come in, she says in a high, unaccented voice. Turn to page 28. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is like clearly, it's like very weird to like, you know, I read these books as a kid, and like as a kid, didn't think anything of the words that were used, and now you read it now, and it's now that you're aware to it, I don't like to say the word like woke, because that I think that's like that's like kind of overused now. But just to be aware of it, to realize that there's certain words that we shouldn't be using anymore. Like I really like revisiting these books and reading them again, and kind of there's a lot of nostalgia, but not nostalgia for that part of it. All right, we're here to see Mr. Marsden, you say. Why, of course you are, she says. Is he all right, you ask? Earlier, he called me on the phone and said he needed help. The woman does not answer. She only beckons with her finger for all of you to follow her. If you accept her invitation to go in, turn to page 19. If you sense a trap and find a reason for leaving, turn to page 43. I don't necessarily think there's any reason to believe that there's a trap. She just like turned around and started walking and beckoned for you to follow her with her, by using her fingers. So that's not necessarily suspicious. So I'm thinking I would just follow her. I mean, she might be a ghost too. Maybe she's not a ghost. Maybe they're all ghosts. Or maybe, I don't know. Yeah, like being she's a witch or a ghost or whatnot, but obviously for a ghost, you know, he's doing pretty well for herself. Yeah, I was going to go with her. Page 19. The three of you enter the house. As you do, the door behind you closes and locks with an ominous click. You sense that there is definitely something evil, or at least alarming, going on here. The woman leads you down a long, dark hallway to a solarium. The afternoon sunlight streams in through a high glass ceiling. White, yellow, and purple orchids are arranged in neat rows along one side of the room. On the other side of the room is a collection of plants that you don't immediately recognize. I see you are admiring my babies, the woman says. These are my Venus flytraps over here. Are they not beautiful? We are all so happy here. She picks up a trowel and tenderly starts to transplant one of them. A faint buzzing comes from somewhere in the room. Ah, I see we have yet another visitor, says the woman. Her face lights up with a kind of ecstasy. Come to the plants, little fly. Turn to page 20. You begin to notice a sweet smell, almost sickeningly sweet, that you hadn't noticed before. It is coming from the plants. The fly circles around and lands on one of the plants. Suddenly, the fringed leaves snap shut and trap the fly inside. The light of the room grows dim, as if a dark cloud has suddenly drifted between you and the sun. The image of the woman begins to fade. You realize that you can see right through her. Her form then begins to grow and re-solidify. It transforms itself into the image of a large, angry-looking man dressed in a Civil War uniform. He has a heavy whip in his hand. You look around you. The walls have turned to a rough, darkened stone, and high above you, the skylight has been replaced by heavy bars. Turn to page 23. Yeah, you begin to get worried about something. Oh, turn to page 23. Okay. Whoops. Now I'll deal with you rebels, growls the man. You think you can challenge the authority of Henry Marsden? Oh, that's a question. You think you can challenge the authority of Henry Marsden? As he says this, he lashes out with the whip. Sharp pain bites into your shoulder. You feel faint. As you lose consciousness and fall to the damp stone floor, you hear only the terrified screams of Ricardo and Lisa. The end. I feel like that didn't really give us a choice to really do anything. Alright. Yeah, like what? I agree with that. Like, why does that guy have a whip? Like a gun? Okay. But, yeah. It's, when was this written again? 1982. Yeah. Alright, so as I usually do, we seem to always end up in like the worst ending on the first read through. Alright, so we turn to page 6. Alright, so we'll go back to the point where we had to decide whether to go immediately to the address or whether we were going to wait for Ricardo and Lisa to call back. I guess, yeah, that was the same person. First it was an Asian woman, and then the ghost changed from an Asian woman to a Civil War soldier. I have no idea why. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, well, what's the connection there? I almost felt like I turned to the wrong page or something. But no, I don't think I did. All right, so gonna wait for Ricardo and Lisa again, like last time. Go to page 14. You decide to wait. You want Ricardo and Lisa in on this case, and you want to do some thinking before you rush off. Henry Marsden, you think to yourself. The name keeps going round and round in your brain. You've heard it or read it somewhere, but you can't quite place it. You are an avid history buff. though you are not as strong on names and dates as you are on what actually happened. You sit back in your chair with your eyes closed, your knuckles against your forehead, in intense concentration. The thought that it's something to do with the Civil War crosses your mind. Well, it's worth a try. There might be something in the history of Notwin County. Now, where did you put that book? It's somewhere in your basic research library. Finally, you find it. A thick, green volume, sandwiched between Gray's Anatomy and Blackwell's Poison Plants and Herbs. The book was published by the Notwin Historical Society some 20 years ago. So we already read this part. I am going to jump ahead. So here's where we read the biography of Henry Marsden. And here's where... And then here's where Ricardo and Lisa showed up. And I think we'll still go to the prison. So we went to the prison. I'll reread from this part. 30 minutes later, three of you arrive at the site where the old prison once stood. You find that this location is now occupied by a large, very modern house built on the outside almost entirely of reflecting glass. The front gate, by contrast, seems to be left over from the last century. A path leads from the gate across a wide lawn to the house. You drive by slowly, then park down the road. Walking back, you cross the lawn and double-check the number on the door. 1100 Hedgebrook. This is it, all right. Who wants to knock, you ask. There is no answer from Ricardo or Lisa. I'll do it, you say. You give a firm, loud knock. The only response is a hollow echo. Are you sure the telephone call came from this place? Asks Lisa. Of course I'm sure, you reply. I know that. The heavy front door of the house starts to swing slowly open. Right, and then we went to page 21. Then we meet the woman of Asian descent. And okay. And then she tells us to follow her. And so I think when we did that, that did not end very well for us. So this time we'll say we sense a trap. And we'll find a reason for leaving. Turn to page 43. I think we'll visit some other time, you say to the woman. We just stopped by to make sure everything is all right. The three of you back away from the door and start toward the car. Have Mr. Marsden telephone me again when he has a chance, you call back. You think we can just come and leave that easily? The woman shouts in a high, almost screeching voice. You'll be sorry. You'll be sorry. She goes back into the house. The front door bangs shut, but her voice still seems to echo down the road. Finally, it trails off. A strangely chilling breeze flows by in the hot afternoon. You all feel a tingling sensation in your bones. You run to where you left your car. It's gone. I'm sure we left the car right here, you say. I'm really confused, says Lisa. I definitely remember a new house just across the road from here. Let's go back, says Ricardo. Maybe we've just come too far. That lady in the house scared us. I think we got mixed up. You walk back up the road looking for the car. But now the house is gone. Where it stood just minutes ago, the old prison stands now. Well, that's weird. There was a house there before, and now it's a prison. That lady in the house cast some kind of spell on us. We're dreaming all this, says Ricardo. Here, pinch me, says Lisa to Ricardo. Ow! I didn't mean that hard. Doesn't that prove we're not dreaming? From the direction of the prison, you hear shots and cries. There's something going on inside there, you say. It must be a riot. Maybe the one mentioned in the history book. The three of you race toward the prison. Now you can see smoke and flames coming out of the barred upper windows. You run up to the front entrance of the prison. Two large, heavy iron doors with a foot or so of space between the top of the doors and the stone lintel above. This narrow gap glows red from the flames inside. "Open up," you scream. "Let the prisoners out. They'll be killed." You try banging on the doors, but they're already too hot to touch. Turn to page 52. Yeah, the ghost needed the car, so she drove off with it. Up on the highest rampart of the prison, you see a figure. Somehow you know it is Henry Marsden. Flames lick up into the sky around him. Even at this distance, you can hear him scream, "Help! I need help!" It's the same voice you heard on the phone. Then, black smoke obscures the whole front of the prison. Turn to page 54. Oh, here's a picture of Henry Marsden, apparently, and there's fire all around him. And we did go to page 54. In the distance, down the road, you see a troop of mounted soldiers galloping toward you. Behind them is a team of horses pulling an old-fashioned fire engine. And there they are with the old-fashioned fire engine and the horses pulling it. If you stay on the road to help the soldiers, turn to page 46. If you run and hide behind a tree to watch the action from a safe distance, turn to page 44. Hey, Ryan. So, apparently this guy already died. He's a ghost. Because we read his biography earlier and found that he apparently died in the prison fire. So, what we're seeing is what happened before. But who knows? Maybe we can change history through this book. So do we stay on the road to help the soldiers? Turn to page 46 if we decide to do that. If we run and hide behind a tree to watch the action from a safe distance, turn to page 44. So we can fight or not. Yeah, I mean, he called us asking for help. So how can we help someone who died 100 years ago? Well, it was 100 years ago at the time the book was written. So now it would be 140 years ago, something like that. So I am thinking, I don't know if anybody has any ideas whether we should try to help the soldiers. I feel like we should try to help them. I mean, to help them put out the fire. Or should we hide behind a tree? And like, where did Lisa and Ricardo go? That's what I want to know. All right, so I'm gonna help them out. 46. As soon as the soldiers arrive, all three of you run to ask if you can help. An officer dismounts and comes towards you. "As soon as we get those gates open, we'll need all the help we can get," he says. The soldiers throw a long rope with a grappling hook over the top of the iron doors. They quickly hitch together a team of 6 horses and tie the rope to their harness. The horses tug away at the rope for several minutes. Nothing happens. Then, with a screeching sound, the doors burst open. A tremendous ball of flame roars out of the front gate of the prison, scattering the nearby soldiers and horses. The flame subsides and turns into a huge column of smoke rising into the sky. There they are putting the fire out, or trying to. And there you are. That's a little too close. I mean, and you're not really helping them all that much. I don't know how you can be helping them just kind of standing there. So, all right. So turn to page 48. The firefighters are ready with their steam-driven water pump, spraying water into the open mouth of the front gate. Soon the fire has died down enough for you and the soldiers to start carrying out the more badly burned prisoners on stretchers. Someone shouts, "The prisoners in the dungeons are all right. Just the upper part of the prison is burning." "Oh, okay, just the upper part. Well, I guess that's fine then." "Where's Marsden?" you ask. "He has joined his brother the devil in the flames," someone replies. The three of you work with all your energy for the next few hours, doing your best to help the burned and wounded prisoners. You are exhausted. It's late afternoon now, but the day is still terribly hot. You have to take a few minutes to rest. You sit against a tree and close your eyes for a moment. It feels so good to relax. When you open your eyes, the prison is gone. The modern glass house is back in its place. The three of you are sitting against a tree on the side of the road. That was quite a dream, says Ricardo, pulling himself groggily to his feet. If that was just a dream, says Lisa, what is this Civil War soldier's hat doing over there on the side of the road? And why did we all have the same dream? Dream or not, you think. At least I am back in my own time. You realize today was something you will not soon forget. And there is the tree and the hat. And that is that ending. All right. All right. So I think this time I'm going to go back to where we initially had to decide whether to check out the address on our own or whether we wanted to wait for Ricardo and Lisa. And I've already done a couple of endings where we waited for Ricardo and Lisa. This time we're going to go, I think I'll go to the address by myself and see what happens. Turn to page 4. The Marsden residence turns out to be a large, modern house located in a fashionable suburb, about a half-hour's drive from your house. You see it first through a tall iron fence running along the road. The house is set back behind a broad and well-tended lawn. You park your car down the road and walk back to the gatehouse that gives access to the estate. The gatehouse is strangely old-fashioned and ornate in contrast to the main house. The heavy iron gates, inside their framework of stone, stand slightly ajar, leaving just enough room for you to squeeze through if you want to. A bronze plaque is set into the stone on the outside of one of the walls. It reads, "Site of Hedge Brook Prison, which was burned to the ground during the prison riot of 1887. 112 prisoners died in the fire. Northwind Historical Society." You glance again at the house. The front of it is constructed largely of glass. A short distance to one side of the house is what looks like a large, strange metal sculpture rising out of a number of huge blackened hunks of shattered concrete. A shudder goes through you as you realize that these forms of twisted metal might actually be the remnants of the old, burned-out prison. Suddenly, a man dashes out of the front door of the house. Turn to page 8. "Help! Help! They're after me!" the man cries. Halfway to the gate, he drops to the ground as if he had been hit by an invisible hammer. You dash through the gate and run toward the fallen figure, but something stops you in your tracks. 3 snarling animals materialize in front of the house. What are they, you wonder? Can they be huge chimpanzees? They look mean and angry. For a moment, you are frozen to the spot. All right, that took an unexpected turn. So there's the guy lying on the ground, and there are what looks like some chimpanzees, and then there you are, the character. All right, so, well, I wasn't expecting chimpanzees. I don't know what that has to do with anything else that we've read about, but okay. If you make a hasty retreat to your car, turn to page 31. If you decide that the chimpanzees are not as dangerous as they look, and rush to give aid to the man, turn to page 5. Chimpanzees are actually pretty dangerous. Never had any personal experiences with chimpanzees, but myself, but yeah, they can be dangerous. And then he did say, "Help, help, they're after me," so I don't know who or what he could be talking about other than the chimpanzees. Then again, we do want to help the guy. If we try to run back to the car, maybe it'll be like last time where the car is not there anymore. So I'm not sure. This is a tough one. I mean, I feel like the chimpanzees could be dangerous, or they might not be. And they're probably a lot faster than we are, so if we try to run back to the car, they might just, if they really want to chase after us, they might get to us before we can get to the car. All right, I'm gonna try to help the guy. You have to admit that you are scared, but the man on the ground needs help. The only weapon you can think of is the penknife that you always carry in your pocket. You take out the knife and brandish it wildly as you run forward. The chimpanzees seem to back off, but they are still snarling. Just as you reach the man on the ground, they lope off into the bizarre ruin near the house. They swing through the ragged network of twisted beams for a few seconds and then vanish. You turn your attention back to the man on the ground. His breath comes in short gasps that sound almost like sobs. Turn to page 10. One hand of the fallen man is covered with a brown leather glove. This hand is grasping a small, triangular piece of paper. You bend down and take the paper from his fingers and examine it for a message. It is blank on both sides. Just then, the man gives one terrible gasp and lies still. Your knees are weak. This man has been frightened to death. The chimpanzees reappear in front of the house. One of them holds a long bamboo blowpipe. He puts it to his lips and blows. You feel a breeze on your cheek. Could it be from a dart whizzing by your face? You run back across the lawn, through the gate, and back to your car. If you decide to call the police and report a possible murder, turn to page 65. If you decide to come back later and sneak up on the house from a different direction, turn to page 15. So, I'm not sure what we would really tell the police. That the guy was attacked by chimpanzees that are using blow darts, which when was this book written? 1982. Okay, just checking. So no, I think we'll just come back to the house later. I'm not sure if that means we're just going to leave that guy that just died, just leave them on the ground there in front of the house, but so it was page 15, right? Yep. If you decide to come back later and sneak up on the house from a different direction, turn to page 15. 15 it is. You drive about a mile away from the house and park the car on the side of a tree-shaded road. You check the time on your digital watch. It is 4:35 p.m. It has been almost 2 hours since you got that phone call. You take out the piece of paper that you took from the hand of the dying man. You realize that it is the corner of a larger sheet of paper. Two of the edges are cut straight, and the third side of the triangular piece is ragged where it was torn off. You hold it up to the light, almost expecting a message to be somehow hidden inside the paper itself. You start to stick the paper back into your pocket when something makes you hold the paper back up to the light again. You hadn't noticed it before, but the paper has tiny flecks of red and blue in it. Now that rings a bell. Of course, the special paper that U.S. currency is printed on has those flecks in it. I wonder if it still does. Probably not. I think they try harder to prevent money from being counterfeited. But I'll turn to page 12, and then here we are with some binoculars looking through the bushes with a really dorky expression on our face. Those are very big binoculars. Several thoughts spin across your mind. Was that man Henry Marsden? Was it his house? Was he a counterfeiter? Or was he trying to escape from counterfeiters? Trying to escape seems more likely. And what about those chimpanzees? Could there be a counterfeiting animal trainer? No. That makes about as much sense as a yodeling astronaut. Why wouldn't an astronaut know how to yodel? I mean, There's been lots of astronauts. I'm sure one of them knew how to yodel. Okay. You drive home to see if Ricardo and Lisa have called. You check your phone message recording machine. Nothing yet. You put some equipment into your shoulder bag. A pair of high-powered binoculars, a small tear gas gun, and a high-speed camera with a zoom lens. Then, back to the Marston place. You plant yourself in a clump of bushes across the street. From here, you can see the house, but no one can see you. You scan the lawn with your binoculars. The body of the man has disappeared. All seems quiet. Turn to page 24. Just then, a long black limousine drives up to the gatehouse. Two tough-looking men get out and walk toward the house. When they are almost there, the chimps appear. The men just ignore them and go into the house. Then the chimps vanish again, into thin air. That's it. The chimps are not real. They must be filmed and projected holograms. Three-dimensional pictures made with laser light, programmed to turn on and off whenever someone approaches the house. Minutes later, the two men leave, carrying several small packages. Turn to page 11. Things begin to add up in your mind. This place is spooky enough, built next to the ruins of the old prison. Add to this the snarling images of chimpanzees to scare off anyone getting too close to the house. It's a perfect base of operations for a gang of counterfeiters. The unfortunate man who died must have somehow stumbled into their hideout. You ease out of your observation post in the bushes and run back to the car. You drive to the nearest telephone to inform the police. Then you check your watch. 7:23 p.m. Case solved in 4 hours and 41 minutes. Not bad. Turn to page 16. The next day, the lead story in the Northwind Times is, on a tip from a well-known local detective, whose suspicions were aroused by strange occurrences around the Hedgebrook prison ruins, police raided a nearby house yesterday, exposing a counterfeiting operation. Seized were a number of bogus printing plates and a large quantity of counterfeit money. 3 men were arrested and charged with homicide as well as counterfeiting after the body of another as yet unidentified man was found in the basement of the house. The end. And there's all the stacks of $1 bills, $50 bills, and it looks like those are $100 bills. I don't know why the $100. Oh, that's $1,000. I don't know why the $1,000 bills are smaller than the stack of 50s and ones, but yeah, I guess maybe their counterfeiting operation wasn't as great as they thought it was. Okay. It wasn't very... That had like nothing to do with ghosts, though. It's like hard to believe it was the same place. So what should we try this time? Okay. I think maybe this time I'll try to make a hasty retreat. So where we found the chimpanzees and we found the man lying on the ground. So this time we'll try to make hasty retreat back to the car. Let's see if that gives us, sets us on a different path or a different adventure, or if it just ends up getting us killed. I guess we'll find out. You decide that it is better to get back to your car fast. You always drive with a first aid kit and some basic defensive equipment, such as your pen that holds 2 cubic centimeters of a powerful knockout gas. You have the ignition key out of your pocket even before you reach the car. As you quickly open the door on the driver's side and jump in, you realize that something is wrong. You are about to jump out when you feel it, a cold metal circle, like the end of a gun barrel, pressed to the back of your neck. A raspy voice commands, "Just do what I tell you, or you'll be looking for a new head. Now get this. Keep moving and follow directions. Drive down to the corner and turn right." So there we are in the car, and there's someone or something behind us telling us to drive somewhere. Let's turn to page 18. You have no choice but to do as he says. You turn right at the corner. Then, as directed by the voice, You drive another 200 feet and turn again, this time onto an unfamiliar dirt road that leads into a heavily wooded area. Stop here, the voice orders. There is now a beeping sound in the back seat. You realize that the gun is away from your neck. The figure in the back seat is apparently fiddling with some sort of electronic device. While his attention is away from you for a few moments, you slip your hand quickly and silently up under the dashboard of the car. Your knockout gas gun, disguised as a pen, is still there. If you decide that now is the time to use your knockout gas gun, turn to page 32. If you decide that this is too dangerous to try right now, turn to page 33. So just have to decide whether we want to where we want to go here. I'm sorry, for some reason I wasn't seeing people's comments before. Yeah, where do you find a new head? I guess you go to the head store for that. Alright, so yeah, do it. Should we do the knockout gas? Should we do it? Yeah, you go to the new head store for that. That's where you get your new head. Alright, so I'm gonna use the knockout gas. Turn to page 32. In a split second, you turn in your seat and fire the gun at the figure in the back. As you fire, you see the man in the back seat for the first time. You hardly know who has the more startled expression, you or the talking chimpanzee, as he loses consciousness. You back up the car and drive directly to the police station. I have an unconscious chimpanzee in the back seat of my car, you explain to the officer at the desk. Then I suggest you drive straight to the zoo, replies the officer. But this is a talking chimpanzee, you protest, and he tried to kidnap me with a gun. The officer and his assistant look at each other as if to say, we've got a live one here. However, they come out to the car with you. This is a chimpanzee, all right, says the officer. Certainly is a big one. Not doing much talking at the moment, though. You search around in the back seat next to the unconscious chimpanzee. You find a small control box of some sort, but you can't find a gun. What you do find is a flat metal ring. That is how he did it. After all, that's all you really felt against your neck. Turn to page 61. The chimpanzee is still unconscious when the zoo workers come and take him off in a big cage. You tell the officer about the man on the lawn. He takes you back in the patrol car and helps you search the front lawn of the house and the woods where you were taken. The man on the lawn is gone, though. The house is empty and unoccupied, though there is definitely evidence that some kind of animal has recently been inside. There is a working telephone in the house. The officer is sure that the telephone company must have gotten some addresses mixed up and installed it by mistake. The following week, you go out to the zoo to have another look at the chimpanzee. You can tell that he recognizes you from the angry expression on his face when he sees you. Somehow you feel sorry for him, since you know that he can talk and now has no one to talk to. That is, unless he wants to give himself away. You wonder where the rest of the chimpanzees have gone. No doubt they have a new hideout somewhere. You also wonder if they have claimed any new victims, like that poor man on the lawn. The end. Well, that was like pretty terrible on multiple levels. Like, the chimpanzee is like in a zoo now in what looks like a very small cage, which I guess back in 1982 wouldn't think anything of it, but yeah, why would we go back to the zoo to gloat or something? Or like, oh look, oh, we're handing them a peanut. All right, well, I guess that's kind of nice. Oh, it says do not feed the animals, and we're giving them a peanut. Yeah, that ending was not my favorite. You know what? Instead of using the knockout gas, I'm going to go back to the previous step, previous page, and just say that we decided, instead of using the knockout gas in the car, we decided that it was too dangerous to try right now. I did not like that ending, and I don't want that to be the last ending that I do for this book. I gotta say, this is like not my favorite. This is not my favorite book. My favorite Choose Your Own Adventure so far. It's got some good things about it. All right, you slip the pen into your shirt pocket. Maybe it will help you escape later. You come to a large depression in the ground. A wide ramp leads down into it. The figure in the back seat orders you to drive down. At the bottom is an entrance large enough for a car. You enter and drive through a short tunnel into a large underground garage. A number of truck-like vehicles are parked against a loading platform on one side of the garage, but they are not like any trucks that you have ever seen before. They look more like huge eggs with doors in the sides, and you can't see any wheels underneath. A dozen or so strange creatures, wow, the chimpanzees again, are loading the eggs with large boxes. All right now, out, commands the voice behind you, and keep your hands above your head. You see your captor for the first time. No wonder his voice sounded odd. He is one of the chimpanzees. You are led to a door on the far side of the garage. The chimpanzee inserts a plastic card in a slot. There is a slight electronic whine as the door slides back on silent hinges. Before you is a long corridor. It is lit by what looks like fluorescent bulbs, but the light from them makes your skin look purple. The corridor ends abruptly at a metal door. Again, the chimpanzee uses the plastic card. The door opens. The chimpanzee pushes you roughly inside, but stays outside while the door closes. Go on to page 34. It is pitch dark inside the room. No light at all. You are alone in some kind of cell. Wait! You can hear the sound of breathing. You feel around in the dark. Your hand touches something warm. Whatever it is wakes up with a cry. Don't touch me! Don't touch me! A man's voice says in an anguished voice. The voice sounds very much like the one you heard on the phone. Aren't you the man who called earlier today, you ask? Why, yes. I did make a call. The chimpanzees took me and my assistant, Jethro, to another part of this underground complex for questioning. On the way back to this cell, Jethro and I managed to break away. I think Jethro escaped to the outside, but I haven't seen him since. I have a feeling something has happened to him. I locked myself in a room with a telephone. I was so desperate that I dialed a number at random. I had only a few seconds before the chimpanzees would break in. But you called twice, you say. That's right. I got a second chance. While they were breaking down the door to one room, I fled to an adjoining room that also had a telephone. I remember the number that I had dialed the first time and tried it again. What's the story with the talking chimps, you ask? And here's the guy that's chained up that you found. I don't think we know his name yet, though. So turn to page 72. He dialed at random and just happened to reach someone who's like a private investigator. Yeah, Jethro. Jethro didn't make it. Forget about Jethro. He's done. Jethro's like, I got out of there. I'm done. I'm safe. I don't care about anybody else. Right. My name is Marsden, Professor Marsden. I was using the chimpanzees in my experiments to create superhumans. Instead, I created super chimps. I have developed a super energizing chamber that will give anyone advanced mental powers. Now, that gives me an idea. This cell is part of an old prison complex built just after the Civil War. Ah. So, oh, this is still Professor Marsden. Okay. So now that gives me an idea. The cell is part of an old prison complex built just after the Civil War. The chimps modernized the door, but the cell is the same. The prisoners in the old prison have been trying to dig a tunnel to freedom from this very cell, but they only succeeded in digging to another part of the prison. The tunnel leads directly to my laboratory. Okay, Professor, let's go, you say. You go first, crawling on your hands and knees and feeling your way along the tunnel. Soon, you come to the inside of a loosely constructed stone wall. You can see into the brightly lit laboratory through the small cracks in the wall. I only see one chimp in there, you whisper. If I can get in there, I can get him with my knockout gun. One good push, the professor whispers back, and this part of the wall will fall outward. Turn to page 58. Like, maybe we could get some advanced mental powers. Maybe that's a possibility. Did I go to the right? Didn't go to the right page, right? Let's go to page 58. Yes, page 58. Okay, just to make sure I'm going to the right page. The crashing stones so startle the single guard they have no trouble giving him a shot of knockout gas full in the face. The guard drops to the floor with a thud. You run across the room and slam the door to the laboratory shut. Fortunately, it locks from the inside. Just to make sure it stays shut, you push a heavy piece of lab equipment in front of it. Now, cries the professor, get into the chamber over there. No time to waste. Are you sure it's safe, you ask? It's relatively safe, says the professor. I would go in myself, but I'm afraid my heart can't take the shock. Right. I'm sure he would do it, you know. But it's his heart. He can't. Heart can't take the shock. All right, so there we are firing the knockout gas, and the chip is taking that knockout gas full in the face, as the book says. Alright, so if you decide to go into the super energizing chamber, turn to page 38. If you feel that the chamber is too dangerous and try to escape another way, turn to page 42. We gotta do the super energizing chamber, right? I mean, how can we pass up the chance to get advanced mental powers? I mean, the professor looks pretty old, so yeah, we gotta do it. We gotta go into the super energizing chamber. What could possibly go wrong with that? Page 38. The energizing chamber is a large glass cylinder with a door in the side, just large enough for a person to get inside. You step in and close the door. The professor runs to a control board and rapidly activates the energizing mechanism. A powerful force surges through you. Every cell in your body vibrates with energy. Your hair literally stands on end. You lose consciousness for a second. When you step out of the chamber, you feel dizzy and lightheaded, and definitely different. The chimpanzees are battering at the door, trying to get in. And there is the professor at the controls, and there we are in the glass container. Feeling kind of freaky. Alright. Ooh, if you try to use your new mental and psychic powers right away, turn to page 30. If you decide to retreat back through the tunnel and have the professor explain how to use the powers on the way, turn to page 50. Yeah, I feel like it might be better to have the professor explain how to use those powers. I mean, people trying to use their psychic powers right away, like that never goes well if they're not really like trained in their use, you know? So I think it would be better if he explain it to us, but people think we should just use the power right away, Ryan? Not the power. All right. I'll try that. All right. Why not? You don't need the professor to tell you how to use your new powers. The energizing process has awakened in your brain all the information you need. The chimpanzees have similar powers, but since you have started out at a much higher level, your powers are much stronger than theirs. You can telepathically hear and feel the anger of the chimpanzees as they break open the door to the laboratory. But when they charge in, they are immediately frozen by your projected force field. Wow, did I do that, you ask? That is only the beginning of your new powers, says the professor. Your new mind immediately probes out through the underground complex. This way, Professor, you say. I know the way out. Turn to page 40. You and the professor run down a long curved passageway that leads back to the underground garage. As you emerge from the passageway, the chimpanzee remaining in the garage hurls one of the heavy boxes at you. Your mind force catches it and stops it in midair. Unfortunately, this new concentration is so powerful that it releases the chimpanzees back in the laboratory. They run howling into the other end of the passageway after you. I'll have to work on this mind power, you say. And here we are. Chimpanzee threw the box at us, and we used our mind force to stop it. And this professor is just like, oh, that's pretty good. All right. Mind force. Page 37. I have to work on this mind power stuff. You release the suspended box and refreeze the chimpanzees. The howling behind you stops as suddenly as if a radio had been turned off. The box comes crashing down on the concrete floor of the garage. It breaks open, sending a cascade of money into the air. You don't have to examine the money to know that it is counterfeit. Your heightened senses tell you that. You mind scan the underground complex again. This time you find the engraving equipment, the printing presses, and the trimming machines, everything needed to produce counterfeit money. And you see huge stacks of counterfeit bills. There's money of virtually every country in the world. The chimps developed these egg-shaped flying machines you see in the garage, says the professor. They plan to use them to fly all over the world, dropping money from the sky on many countries and destabilizing all the world's economies. The ultimate guerrilla warfare. Haha, get it? Guerrilla warfare? After this, they had planned to become the controlling power in the world. The struggle to escape your force field has destroyed all the chimps' special powers. Now they're nothing more than just ordinary chimpanzees. But you will keep your heightened powers for some time. The end. Yeah, he's good. Christopher Lloyd. He's still around, right? They should get Christopher Lloyd for like some kind of movie. I mean, if they don't want to do another Back to the Future movie, like do some other movie where he plays some kind of professor. Yeah, that plan might work. Just like drop a bunch of money from the sky, and that'll like stabilize all the world's economies, you know, or they could just drop a virus from the sky. That would probably also destabilize the world's economies. But yeah, I don't see how that would work. If you drop a bunch of money from the sky, then a lot of it's just gonna... yeah. I think it's... Making all that counterfeit money is the easy part. Actually flying around all over the world and dropping it from airplanes, that's the hard part. So yeah, they're chimpanzees, so I don't really think they thought it through. It's pretty flawed. So I think I've been reading for about an hour. Went through a few different endings, and I think my favorite part was definitely where it was the professor and intelligent chimpanzees and getting mind powers. So I don't think the endings are getting any better than that. that's as good as it's probably going to get. Yeah. So no, overall I enjoyed this book. Yeah, it was fun. Thanks, Ryan. There were a couple of things in the book that were kind of weird and very much of their time. And it seems like it's weird. Like every book seems to have like the police in it in some way, where you're encouraged to contact the police for their help and stuff like that. And it was definitely like a different time. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm going to do this again next Tuesday and pick another Choose Your Own Adventure book. I think maybe a few days before I will do a Facebook post saying what book it's going to be. It might not be a Choose Your Own Adventure book. I do have a lot of other adventure type books that I can choose from. So maybe I'll do another Star Challenge book. I did one of those a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, so hope everyone enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed reading these and kind of like revisiting my my childhood. So yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next Tuesday. Bye.